Welcome to Talking NFL with the Cover Two. I'm your host, Glenn Erby. We're here with Austin Mock of The Athletic. We're going to talk about his playoff simulator. We're going to talk about the AFC race, the NFC race, everything in between. Austin, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for taking time out during this busy part of the season.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Happy to talk some playoff talk of the NFL today.
All right. So could you tell our, Eagles Wire, Ravens Wire readers, listeners, you have a playoff simulator. It's powered by the NFL projection model. You did 100,000 simulations. Could you, I guess, walk us through that and how you guys came up with it, what it entails, and everything else, if you don't mind?
Yeah, so I have a model, the projection model, which basically takes in a bunch of different metrics, EPA per play, success rate, all of these, the things that you hear on a day-to-day basis when you're looking at NFL box scores. Those things correlate very much to success of winning football games. So that's something that I have now put into, hey, we can project who's likely to win this game depending on where the game is. If it is it on the road, what's the weather like, what's the personnel. I can adjust for if Lamar Jackson's out, I can adjust that on the fly. I can adjust for, hey, if Kyle Hamilton is out, I can do those things as well. So all of that can spit every game probability for each team to win every game. We've built this awesome tool at The Athletic where the simulator is then able to simulate the rest of the regular season, spit out how likely a team is to make the playoffs, win a division, win the Super Bowl, first round or first overall or first round bye odds, draft pick odds, anything that you can want. So that's basically the gist of it. And the cool thing is we've then also you can pick any result of the game. So the Ravens next game, the Eagles next game, a game 3 weeks from now, you can see how those games will affect your playoff odds. So pretty much unlimited potential with this tool that we've built.
How did we come up with the, I guess it said 100,000 simulations. How did you get to that number? Or I guess, is that a safe base point?
Yeah, so when you get into like the 4,000, if you like even 10,000, a lot of times it's pretty it directionally is going to be there. 100,000 really gets those tiny use cases. The Ravens play the Bengals this week with Joe Burrow coming back. I only have them at like 3% right now to make the playoffs. The Bengals. Maybe if it's only 10,000, that number might go down to like 2% or something. So you get it's edge cases when you get to that big of a number, but it's getting those crazy comeback years, where a team might win 8 out of their last 9 or something like that to make the playoffs. So the big number is able to hit out that small sample and get those, I guess, very unlikely teams more often, the ones you would not expect.
And from what I'm understanding, you're able to do this with multiple sports. So I think that's the uniqueness of it too. Whether it be the NFL, college football, Major League Baseball, just about anything, you can simulate, use injuries, use weather, use whatever to come up with what you guys think will be the final projection.
Yeah, that's about like 10 years ago, I fell in love with modeling and everything. And I just found out that, like, hey, you can predict who's likely to win the game this weekend or tomorrow, whatever it is. Doesn't matter about the sport. Like you said, college football, baseball, I've done NBA. I've done pretty much every sport there is because I enjoy it so much. And then I was like, why stop at just what the next game is? Let's get the schedule. Let's build out everything and say, hey, let's simulate all these games. Let's pick the teams for the playoff. Let's simulate the whole way through and see who's most likely to come out on top. Because ultimately, that's what we're here to do when we're talking about sports, right? Who's going to win it all? That's what matters. So, and then it's cool because, like I said, we can do your teams out of the race, which the Ravens and Eagles aren't, but we can do draft odds as well. So we have the odds to who's going to pick first overall for the NFL draft as well. So it's like I said, the limit is there is no limit, I guess, is the way to put it there. So it's a fun project for all sport.
Yes, that's super amazing. Well, starting with the teams that are covering the AFC, the Ravens have won 5 straight. They're 6-5. They've gone from the number 12 spot in the AFC to the number 4 spot. You have them as of right now. They have an 89% chance to make the playoffs, an 88% chance to win a division, a 1% chance at earning the number 1 seed. Could you tell me, your thoughts on that team? They're getting healthier. Lamar Jackson's a bit banged up, but it still seems like with the way the Steelers are spiraling, Baltimore's in the driver's seat for that AFC North race and potentially a number 2 or number 3 seed.
Yeah, so that's the big thing is the Steelers spiraling, right? I don't have a ton of confidence with the other team that's really, trying it has the ability to take their spot in the playoff and most notably the division as well. So yeah, they're in the driver's seat, the Ravens. Lamar Jackson, since he's returned, I don't know how healthy his legs are. It's I don't think he looks well, definitely doesn't look 100%, but you would think, by the time the playoffs roll around, hopefully that number gets there because they do have, again, by my numbers, they're in the 80% to make the playoffs. They have some breathing room there. But I think the thing that's cool about them is this is probably outside of Lamar, like the healthiest they've been all year. And they had so many injuries earlier in the year. Like they were, I remember talking with colleagues about this. Like, I don't know if they're even fielding like an NFL level defense for some of those weeks because of how many guys were out. And, they've made some moves. They're trying to try and help, build a defense. And now we're finally healthy for like the second half of the year. If we can get that Lamar healthy and we can get the running game going and all of that, then that's a team that, coming into the year is like, hey, this is one of the top teams in the AFC contending to go to the Super Bowl. So I don't know if they're quite there yet with the current state of the offense and Lamar's health, but with the defense, it's trending up. It's played much better since they've got these guys back. If they can get the offense back, I think they're for sure. I don't know if they can get to the 1 seed just because of how well the Patriots have been playing, but I think they can definitely look to maybe the 2 seed, definitely the 3 seed if all things go right the rest of the way.
Well, speaking of that, I mean, you have a situation where every game is a playoff game essentially, and they'll have a chance to eliminate some people and make things better for themselves. So you have a matchup with the Bengals Thursday night, then the Steelers, the first of two, the Bengals again, the Patriots, where it allows them to have some say in where both of those teams end up, the Packers, and then they'll finish the season with the Steelers. So they have a chance to lock up the division and eliminate their hated rival.
Yeah, those 2 games against the Steelers are going to be huge, right? You win both of them. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's over, but it kind of seems like they're close to being a lock to making the playoffs and locking up the division there. So those will be the big ones. But like you said, if the Patriots got banged up this past weekend and maybe they drop a couple that they're not supposed to, they played a relatively weak schedule for the NFL so far this year. So Ravens are trending up. If the Patriots are trending down, obviously winning that game can go as well. But the most likely path is obviously the division and those 2 games against the Steelers, who are a team I would say is trending in the opposite direction of the Ravens right now. Definitely with Aaron Rodgers with his wrist injury, we don't know what that's going to look like. So definitely a team that's getting healthier. The Ravens, I think they're just a better team when they're healthier than the Steelers as well. So things are looking pretty good there, but you never know with the Ravens and Steelers, right? It kind of can throw the preseason or the expectations out the window. Those games always kind of seem to come down to the wire here. So those are the 2 big ones. I think if you win those 2, you got to feel pretty good about the Ravens' chances of getting into the playoffs.
For sure. And with 6 weeks remaining, who was your favorite in the AFC, if you don't mind me asking?
Whew, man, it's tough. If you would have said, I think it's still this is it's painful, but like my model still likes the Patriots,
Right, I saw that.
and they got banged up, and so that's like a little bit of a concern. But they're just when you're 10-2, everybody else in the AFC kind of has problems. Like, hey, the Chiefs, like they're not even Ravens are 6-5, and you're scrambling to make the division. They have a strong division, right? So like the Broncos are sitting at 9-2. Their path to a division title is not really feasible. I have that at 12%. So I don't know if the Ravens or the Chiefs are going to be in the playoffs little. So that's why the Patriots are shot up so high. The Bills have they've faltered of late. I wouldn't say a lock to make the playoffs. They still have some work to do as well. So the Patriots are just such like a firm, again, they haven't clinched a playoff spot, but it would be really hard for them not to make the playoffs with their 10-2 record. They have a 57% chance for me to get the first overall or first round bye in the AFC. So naturally they kind of get it because they get the home field throughout the playoffs, but it's hard for me to, if you're going to tell me that Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen make the playoffs, it's hard for me, and Lamar Jackson, if we can get a healthy Lamar Jackson, it's really hard for me to go past that. But with the uncertainty on those 3 teams, the Patriots, I do like their chances right now just because of how safe they are in their path to the 1 seed.
I love it. I love it. I'm with you. Switching over to the NFC, you have the Eagles 8-3. At one point yesterday, I started writing an article. Maybe it's my fault, talking about them potentially being able to wrap up the division this week against the Bears, depending on what happened with the Chiefs and the Cowboys. They blow a 21-point lead. They've slid down to the number 2 seed, 99% chance of making the playoffs, 99% chance of winning the division. Now it's just a 29% chance of running the first round bye. At this time, you haven't predicted to finish 12-5. What do you think about Nick Sirianni's team and that debacle?
Yeah, the Eagles. That's a tough one to swallow. It doesn't kill their division odds. Like they're still. It would take a monumental collapse for them to not win the division, but still, they're still one of the better teams in the NFC. They have their problems. I don't think anybody's sitting here saying they're a perfect team right now. But what hurt though is probably their chances getting the 1 seed. The Rams won again last night against the Bucs, so that's you're not guaranteed to host through the NFC playoffs. So that's the issue. The problem with the Eagles for me, like the defense, they made the moves, Michael Carter and Jalen Phillips. They desperately needed some pass rush help, and Phillips has been there. And even though I know the Cowboys, it seems like the defense played terrible last night, but 21 points on the road is not a horrible performance from the defense, it's the offense. Like they
Right.
cannot get it. Like something's off, and it's not just like, hey, they can't run the ball. Hey, they can't do that. It's just like everything's not clicking. Like they looked pretty good to start off the game last night, but I think like their last 8 drives, the amounts of yards they got it was basically nothing. Like it wasn't even like, oh, you know what, they're getting out to midfield and stalling out. The passing offense can't get going against zone coverage. They've been terrible against zone. The Cowboys, I think, ran 94% of their snaps last night was against zone, and it just which is just weird because like we've seen Jalen Hurts throw in the past, we've AJ Brown, Devonta Smith, like there should be options there. But then the run game can't get going. Barkley's under 4 yards per carry. He's not hitting that explosives. I think it was like week 9 was his first 20-yard run of the year, something like that. It's just looks like the total opposite of what the offense was last year. They can't get the explosives in the run game, which is obviously coinciding with the pass game struggles. And then honestly, one of the concerning things with the Cowboys upgrading their defensive line with Quinn Williams, I thought they kind of dominated the Eagles offensive line, which the Eagles offensive line has been a strength for how many years now. And I know they've been banged up and that's a concern, but that's the offense it's like, what's the path, right? You got to figure out, like, it's not just one thing. It just seems like there's a bunch of other things. Whereas compared to last year where everything was clicking, really after like week 5, it seemed like last year. So need the offense to pick it up, at least get one of whether it's the run game, pass game, one of those has to start being more efficient because right now both are just not getting the job done. And if you're not guaranteed a home field advantage throughout the playoffs, it's hard for me to think this offense has enough to get back to the Super Bowl this year.
I agree. I think my fear for me is each offensive lineman outside of Lane Johnson has been terrible this year. There are no gimmies on the schedule to allow them to essentially regroup. So you have a banged up offensive line. You have a struggling Saquon Barkley. They'll face the Bears. They'll face the Chargers, Raiders without a new offensive coordinator, Commanders twice, and the Bills in between. Can you see this team regrouping, or do you essentially feel like they'll potentially lose 2 more games down the stretch, maybe even 3, depending on how things go?
Yeah, 3 would be kind of shocking. Like the Chargers' offensive line has been banged up. Their offense has been pretty poor, with definitely with Joe Alt going down to injury. So that game's on the road, but like the Chargers don't have a huge home field advantage. So I still feel like their defensive line will have enough to kind of get them there. But Raiders, that should be a win. I don't really even expect with the offense coordinator changes to be there. So I think 3 losses will be tough because the Commanders, I guess, a lot of Jaden Daniels' status is going to be, if he's able to come back, will make things tougher there. So I think they'll be all right. I think the question more of, obviously seeding is going to matter because if they do drop some games, they have a chance of, like I said, I think the division's locked up, but they could drop, maybe to the 3-4 seed because then now you're maybe going on the road twice if you're trying to make it back to the Super Bowl instead of just once. So that's the concern for me. I think the bigger question though is, can they, against the elite teams, the good teams, the Rams, Packers, Lions, those teams in the NFC, are they going to be able to score enough to get past those teams? And because they're a little bit more well-rounded than the Eagles are right now. I think but again, the potential's there. We saw it last year. The offense is a lot of the same from last year, but that's the concern, is I think more against the teams that are in the playoffs. I think I have confidence that they'll end the season pretty strong. It's more about their performance in the playoffs against the NFC's best. Yeah, I think the Rams, they're there. They're my favorite to win the Super Bowl. So definitely the favorite in the NFC. I think they're the best team in the NFL right now. I talked about how the AFC teams, like nobody's really like a well-rounded team. I think you can argue that with the NFC as well. Like the Lions have had their issues. We just saw the Eagles, destroy them in an outdoor game. The Packers, they've suffered some injuries. Tucker Kraft went down. What's that offense going to look like? So the Rams are sitting there and it's like, hey, all right, the offense has been very good. Like Matthew Stafford's playing to an MVP level. Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams are awesome. And then the defense has been good as well. I think the offense is definitely the stronger unit, but I think in terms of overall team strength, they're the team that I have the most faith in both units. Even Seattle, I think, probably has an argument there as well. I don't think that's a team that, if the Eagles were to get the, say 3 seed and Seattle's coming, on the road, or, hopefully they can, the Seahawks get the 5 seed so the Eagles can try to avoid them. But that's a team I don't want to play in the playoffs because of how explosive their offense is. Their defense has been nice. So I think those are the 2 teams that I have the most faith in, the Rams and the Seahawks right now in the NFC. But yeah, if the Eagles can get the offense going, they're right back up there. But it's been, like 11 games now of struggles and it's getting late in the season for that turnaround to happen. So, but the potential's there for sure. Yeah. So everything is over at The Athletic. Austin Mock, that's where NFL, college football stuff, all of that's over there. I'm at social media. AMOC419 is my handle for just about everything that you'll find me on social media. So I post pretty frequently. So check me out on there and The Athletic, and you'll find all my content. Yep.